Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to look at business as if it's this huge, high-stakes game. We'll break down who the players are, the strategies to win, and of course, the official rulebook that everyone has to follow. So, you've had one of those light bulb moments, right? A great idea for a business? That's fantastic. But before you can even think about winning, you've got to know who's on the field and what the rules are. It might seem complicated, but trust me, it's a game anyone can learn to play.
First things first, every single game has its players. In the world of business, we call them stakeholders. And each one has a very specific role, and they all have something on the line. Something to gain or, something to lose.
And here is our starting lineup. What's so wild is just how many different people have a stake in this. You've got the visionary, the entrepreneur, the investor with the money, and all the way at the other end, the consumer, who really holds all the power. But look closer. You've also got the government setting the boundaries, and interest groups kind of influence the game. The key thing to remember is that they don't all want the same thing. And that right there is where the game really gets interesting. Okay, so you've got all these different players on the field. How do they actually interact? Do they all link arms and work together? Or is it basically a free-for-all? Well, it's actually a bit of both.
This breaks it down perfectly. There are really two fundamental ways to play. You can go the cooperative route, which is a win-win, where everyone is pulling in the same direction. Or things can get competitive. That's a win-lose situation, or for one person to win, someone else has to lose.
This quote just nails that win-win idea. Let's say a small business is having a tough month with cash flow. They go to their supplier and say, "Hey, can you give us a little more time to pay?" The supplier says yes. Why? Because now they have a super loyal customer who will stick with them for years. The business survives, the supplier keeps the customer. See? Win-win. Now, that win-lose stuff sounds a little harsh, I know. But here's the twist. When businesses start competing against each other, there's one player who almost always wins. And that person is you, the consumer. It's so true. Think about it. When two companies are fighting tooth and nail for your money, what happens? Prices get lower, you suddenly have way more choices. To stand out, they have to make their products better and treat you like royalty with amazing customer service. Their competitive battle is a huge win for us. So it doesn't matter if you're playing nice or playing to win. Every single game needs a rulebook to keep things from going completely off the rails. In business, that official rulebook is the legal contract. And for a contract to be legally binding, to be totally watertight, it has to have these 7 key things. It kicks off with a clear agreement. One person makes an offer, the other accepts. Simple. Then you need consideration. That just means something of value is being exchanged. There also has to be intention. Both of you have to mean for this to be a serious legal thing. Consent is huge. No one can be forced into it. Then there's capacity. Everyone involved has to be legally allowed to make a deal. It also needs legality of form. Is it in writing like it's supposed to be? And finally, legality of purpose. You can't have a legal contract to do something illegal. You get all 7 and boom, you have a real contract. Let's just zoom in on capacity for a second, because it's so important. All this means is that the law has to see you as a valid player who can actually make a binding promise. So you usually can't be a minor or bankrupt or mentally incapacitated. You have to be legally able to join the game. All right, but what happens when the game is over? Or, even worse, what if one of the players just decides to break a huge rule right in the middle of everything? So a contract can end in a couple of ways. The best case scenario is performance. Everyone did what they said they would. Game over, everybody's happy. Sometimes both sides just agree to call it a day early. But then you get to the messy stuff, like a breach. That's a foul, a major penalty. It's when one person breaks a core part of a deal and it puts the whole thing at risk. And when there's a breach of contract, when a rule is broken, you can't just let it slide. The game needs a referee to step in and make a fair call. In the world of business, that referee is the court system. And that referee, the court, has 3 main plays it can call. It can order specific performance, basically telling the rule breaker, nope, you have to finish the deal you promised. Or it can award financial compensation, which means they have to pay money to the person they harmed. The third option is to rescind the contract. That's like hitting the big reset button and putting everyone back where they were before the game even started. So, after all of that, what's the big takeaway? It's pretty simple. Having a great idea is just the kickoff. To actually win the game, you absolutely have to understand who's playing. Decide if you're going to work with them or compete against them, and know that rulebook, the contract, inside and out.
So there you have it. You know the players, you know the strategies, and now you know the rules. The only question left is, what game are you going to play? Thanks for watching The Explainer.